everybody, it's Dr. Rimka coming to you live. Coming from my car. I was trying to be outside and it's kind of loud music and stuff. So I think I've checked into the Decatur Body and Brain Yoga because it's awesome, and my son's in there doing some yoga right now. I can't recommend the place enough. I think it's amazing. Okay, I had an email, and there's a few things I actually could talk about, and I kind of want to rant about something. I would like to rant about lab testing, but I'm not going to. And hi Jeannie. I'm not going to rant. I'm just going to actually answer somebody's email question. I figure, let me just do it this way. So because it comes up a lot, or it's like I'm involved with it right now. It was a question about fasting. So the question was, hey, can I have coffee or bulletproof coffee when I'm fasting, or is it breaking the fast? Is it affecting my autophagy? Some people say it is. Some people say it. I'm so confused. I'm like, okay. So here's the thing. First of all, what is fasting? It's intentionally not eating. Okay, and you can do a short fast, which they call intermittent fasting, which means you're pretty much going to eat every day, but you're just restricting how much time you're eating. So you're going to fast 20 hours or something and only eat in a 4-hour window of your day. Like say you eat from between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. Like that's when you're allowed to eat. So you're not fasting, you're just intermittent fasting. You have a long fast window. Or some people will eat one time a day, and the whole eating process takes an hour, so they fast for 23 hours. That would be called intermittent fasting. Then you have longer fasts, which would be called extended fasting or block fasting. You'll hear the words, and we'll just say it's longer than a day. So you don't eat on a day and go to the next day. So you're going to get into the 30, 36, 42, 72, whatever. 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 days, 6, 7, whatever, how many days you're doing on this extended fast. And I'm talking about pretty pure fasting. I'm not talking about what people say is fasting when they're drinking 8 bottles of juice. They call it a juice fast. It's really not. It's a juice cleanse or something, or it's a juice smorgasbord. It's a juice buffet. It's not a fast. Yeah, that's a lot of food coming in, actually. So let's talk about, because the answer to her question depends on what you're going for. So typically people are doing those type of intermittent fasting or extended fasting for different reasons, even though the same physiological things are going on. But if you're, let's say, doing it for type 2 diabetes, and that your primary thing at that point is all about lowering insulin and having insulin sensitivity increased. That's very different than somebody who is fasting, let's say, for multiple sclerosis and who is trying to help their body go in and break down degraded, broken proteins and remove them from their nervous system and then regenerate entirely new cells. Okay, see, very different purposes. So that was the big question. It's like, does it affect autophagy? Well, let's just go through what you're doing. What the hell is autophagy? So by not eating, right, when you don't eat food, right, let's say for a day, eating food makes the sugar level in your blood go up. And the thing we do inside our body to balance, when sugar goes up, we release insulin to then lower the sugar. But that's not what really insulin is doing. How does it do it? Yeah, it helps get in the cell, but ultimately insulin is a fat storage hormone. That's its job. So if you have a lot of insulin being released throughout the day, you store a lot of fat. If you keep your insulin, and if insulin's high, you don't release fat. You are storing fat. You're a storing fat efficient beast if you have high insulin, okay? If your insulin is low, that's the signal to your cells, hey, insulin's low, it means sugar's low, we need some food, so let me open the doors to the fat cells and release fat for energy, okay? So the key to just weight is really hormones, and the biggest one is insulin, and there's other things, but they're going to follow usually what insulin is doing. So insulin high, fat storage high. Insulin low, fat usage goes high. Fat storage goes low, and you open the doors to this. Jason Fung, who's a physician who's super into fasting, I actually love this analogy he uses. It's like you have two places you can put food in your house when you go shopping. Like I have 2 fridges or I have 2 freezers. So let's say this. I'm putting the food that's easy into my refrigerator, like because I go in and out all the time. That's the glucose. That's the quick burn it, do whatever kind of thing. The stuff I'm going to store that I want to hold on to for later is going to go in my garage in my freezer. That's the fat. It takes a little bit more work for me to put it away, and it takes more work for me to get it. So I obviously go to my fridge first. That's my glucose store, my glycogen, and you burn all that up faster, but you have to go through your fridge before you go into the freezer. So if you eat a lot, the more frequently you eat in the day and for the longer amount of hours that you eat, you're constantly just going to the fridge, and you never have to go into the freezer you're replenishing because you're putting stuff in the fridge, and if your fridge is getting full, right, you keep more food is coming in, more carbs, more sugar, the insulin says, let me take the sugar and go put it in the freezer for later. The freezer is your fat, okay? And it's not just the fat on your butt, it's the fat around your liver, around, your kidneys and everything else, the stuff you really don't want, that visceral stuff. So just give you an idea. So you have 2 places in your body that your energy is. Your fridge, and that's your glucose, and that's your glycogen. You hold about 2,000 calories in your liver or so, and you should be able to burn through that. One day of not eating, you're going to burn through that whole thing, and your body is forced to go to the freezer. Now, you might not know how to open that door to that freezer because you may have had that freezer on a padlock for many years because you're used to eating 6, 7, 8 times a day, and from like 6 a.m. to midnight. That's insulin. So your insulin's really, really high all the time, right? So that's, something that kind of like, ooh, what's that? So if the goal is weight loss or insulin sensitivity, diabetes management, we do a different thing. And will the coffee affect you? Here's the thing. You have to test at least your blood sugar. So you can get a blood sugar meter. When I'm fasting, I am checking my numbers. It's just not, oh, how am I feeling? You need to test. You need to know. So in my world, unfortunately, coffee absolutely raises my blood sugar. I've had it raise it 40 points. So I'll wake up in a fasting state and my blood glucose is 45. Very normal for me when I don't eat for a day to wake up with a 45. I'm not lightheaded. I have no problem because my body has a lot of flexibility most of the time to be using fat, and so it just goes, I'm in ketosis, and I'm fine because I'm burning tons of fat, and so I don't feel tired or lightheaded or anything else. So some of the methods of the Fung method and other folks, they're good with, they're saying, you can have coffee and tea and some of the things. It doesn't have to be so strict water. However, but you need to test. My blood sugar, I've done it. Had the coffee, I've had it plain, I've had it bulletproof, I've had 3 or 4 different brands. I jumped to 85, 80, 85, 90 has happened. And I'm like, I keep testing it. I'm like, you know what? I got to give it up because that is raising my blood glucose and therefore my insulin went up. Well, if the entire purpose, right, a major purpose is to lower insulin, I am not effectively doing it at all when I have a coffee. Now, I've had a chai, variety of black teas. Numbers are perfect, stays exactly the same. So I can have a plain chai and get a little caffeine hit and have no effect. So there's that. You have to test. I hate to tell you guys, you can't because you read it online or you're in some Facebook group and everyone's telling you I don't care what Billy Bob, Joe, Sue, Mary, Jeannie, Cheryl, anybody else does. Their body is not mine. You need to know what your body is doing because people will make these decisions and they'll be stalling and they won't understand why. I'm like, well, you're testing your numbers? Well, no. I'm like, well, how are you knowing anything you're doing? How do you know you're not waking up with a blood sugar of 110 every day? 150? I mean, how do you know if you're getting better? So definitely would say get that. I don't test my ketones very much at all unless I'm doing some very specific keto stuff. I don't think you need to do that when you're doing some basic fasting unless you're diabetic and you guys are well versed in understanding how you need to look for ketoacidosis with a high blood sugar and a high ketone level. We have to, do something different. So if the goal is insulin sensitivity, you need to check if that coffee or that bulletproof coffee or anything else is raising your glucose, because your insulin is going up and you are shooting yourself in the foot. Hate to tell you, okay? So we have that whole thing, right? That would be the key also for weight loss. The whole point of fasting, I'm more of a purist. I really like water only. I prefer my patients do water only, but I am trying out this coffee tea thing. I'm kind of experimenting right now, and I had to discover I cannot do coffee. I cannot do bulletproof, and I love it. So I only can do that on days I'm not fasting, okay? But I know a bulletproof coffee breaks my fast. So even if I'm intermittent fasting, if I have a coffee at 9 o'clock in the morning, my blood sugar, it goes up. I test it. I'm like, yep, it goes up. So that's like I ate. So I might as well eat. Either I'm going to have my coffee or bulletproof coffee and go ahead and have breakfast, and eat my 1 meal or 2 meals of the day right then and there, or I have to choose to skip it. That's just a fact of life. So I know some people, their glucose goes down with coffee. Ah! I hate them. But you guys got to test it. This is not a one size fits all. And anybody who's telling you it is wrong. They need to learn a little bit more. It's not. What is it? I just do tea. Yeah, you need to test though. You guys, if you just do a little testing, it's a little skin prick and you'll know. And I was like, well, I love my chai. Actually, I learned to love it. And right now I'm doing an every other day alternate fast thing. And so I'm like, I have a tea one day, a coffee the next, a tea one day, a coffee. The days I eat, I have a coffee. I had that today. I ate today. So there's that. All right. Now, what's autophagy? Autophagy is a phrase. It's similar to apoptosis. So apoptosis is a normal cellular function in the body that cells know when to die. And autophagy is a little bit different when the body goes in and really aggressively goes after, like eating up broken tissue, messed up stuff, bad proteins, things that are entangled with heavy metals and bad oils. And it's like, ooh, this stuff we need to deal. A tumor, you want autophagy to go in and eat a cyst and eat a tumor before it becomes problematic, okay? So that, if you're going after autophagy, absolutely the best way to do that is to do water only and to do extended fasting. So your big number to increase apoptosis and autophagy is going to happen on a 5-day fast, because on that 4th day is where it's an obscene increase in cellular death and cellular, going after and chewing things up. Now, you're still going to get that you're going to get some. You're increasing apoptosis when you go on a 42-hour fast, when you go on a 72-hour fast. But that 4th day is a real big kind of money shot on the increase in autophagy. So you can try to fool yourself all you want by saying, I can have coffee or this and do all this stuff. You can say what you want, but that's not what's actually happening. You are better off to not do that. And certainly if you're testing and you're getting a blood sugar rise, you can't have it, I'm a much bigger fan, again, if the goal is apoptosis, autophagy, if we're looking at multiple sclerosis, mold, injury, things like that, pure water only, no supplements whatsoever, no lemon, no lime, no bubbly water, no tea, just nothing that's making the body process. Like, you want it really, really clean, really, really putting all its resources there. So there's that. And then on that 5th day, so you've wiped out part of your immune cells, you've wiped out lots of broken, damaged tissue. On that 5th day, then there's a massive increase in your body's own stem cell production. And you want those babies to go in then and start healing all the stuff that the body chewed up and spit out. Because again, there's a lot of broken down, horrible proteins that it's going to have to deal with. MS is an entanglement of bad proteins. Alzheimer's is a bunch of amyloid plaque beta proteins in the brain. you're going to be much more successful not drinking coffee, not doing any of that stuff, keeping your insulin really, really low, and letting autophagy go after that on that 4th day. And the stem cells are produced on the 5th day. Then the 6th day, you refeed with only about 500 calories of the proper food, high fat, high probiotic rich, like an avocado with some sauerkraut, maybe some seeds, you know, keeping it really simple. Some people can handle a raw yogurt with some berries. And you eat that, and it's fuel for the stem cells, and they go in there, and they know to go to the most inflamed part of your bodies and start regenerating. The T cells and B cells will start regenerating. You start making entirely new immune cells that are no longer autoimmune. That's the big thing. So if you're going on after autophagy, I highly recommend you just learn that you got to give up the coffee, you got to give up the bulletproof coffee, you got to give up the tea. That's not doing, you know, in theory, you can be like, well, the fat's not doing anything. You're going after autophagy, different goal than just lowering insulin. So some people will say, fasting's all about lowering insulin. Fasting's just insulin sensitivity. Some people, you know, like, well, actually, it's about stem cell production, if that's for you. So my primary purpose in fasting, you know, doing it is stem cell production. That is my primary goal. Now, I of course want the benefit, the hormone sensitivity, cellular signaling, lowered insulin, lean, weight loss, all that kind of stuff. But I'm really going after, I want to eat up bad damaged tissue and I want to replace it with new tissue. That's my main goal. Not everybody, that is not their main goal. I think that's a amazing benefit. But some people, they might be like, look, I'm just trying to lose weight. Okay. But here's the thing, you're better off if you're trying to lose weight to eventually get to those areas, because apoptosis, autophagy, it'll even handle all that loose skin. There will be people like who've lost 100 pounds and they don't need any surgery. They don't have to replace it because the autophagy is going in and you're digesting all the stuff you need to digest. You don't need to have the surgery to deal with your skin. And when people do a gastric bypass or something, they do, because it's a very different way of losing weight. It's a very different mechanism. That's not autophagy that's going on. Okay, that's just straight severe calorie restriction, right? So that's the question. I think I've answered it for her. Let me see if there's anything that I could. I love intermittent fasting. I know, it's awesome. So yeah, intermittent fasting, that's a really quick and easy way to start. Just shorten your window of when you're eating in the day. And the majority of intermittent fasting schedules are people skipping breakfast, eating lunch and dinner, right? That is the majority. I will say, if your goal is really weight loss, you are much better off eating breakfast and lunch. That's just how it is. The body, the way you process carbs and other food later in the day is certainly different than if you eat it earlier in the day. And then typically people who are not waking up hungry at all in the morning, that's a big sign. If you wake up with no hunger, it's a big sign of a lot of brain inflammation and blue light toxicity that's going on. So your circadian signaling is really, really bad. So a way to kind of reset that would be with a nice high protein, a medium protein, high fat, low carb breakfast in the morning, and then you can have your liquid with your coffee. So eat like a breakfast and lunch. It's a little bit harder for some people's schedules. I mix it up so I can have dinner with people if I want to, but I actually do feel better when I do breakfast and lunch. It's easier for me to just eat one time a day and be dinner, but I feel better the other way. But that's my body, okay? Stop putting things, blah, blah, blah. Coconut oil. Yeah, coconut oil is awesome. Love it. Clean meals, no snacks. Yeah, the biggest thing, anybody, if you're just starting and you eat 6 times a day, just start eating 3 times a day. Number one, baby step, eat 3 times a day only. Eliminate snacking. Do that a few weeks. Eat 3 times a day and make it lower carb. Add some fat. Add avocado and some coconut oil to every meal. Throw some olive oil on things. Start with that. You'll start feeling more satisfied, calmer, and then after that you can start skipping a meal. Pick which meal, not lunch. Go like breakfast and lunch, or go lunch and dinner, because you want to keep shortening that window. Then you might move yourself into eat 1 time a day. Some of you will want to jump right into like a 3-day fast. Don't eat Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? Some of you will want to maybe move into 5-day. I'd say many of you can do it on your own. Some of you might need to get some support. If you're on medications, like diabetes medications, hypertension medications, you need help, because those dosages are going to change dramatically, because your numbers are going to change. Let me see what else, if anybody said anything. Yeah, you really need to check your numbers. And blah, blah, blah. Thanks for chat. Teach me how to blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Let me see. Let's see. What does that say? That the sun's changing something to teach, blah, blah, blah. I fast every day, my breakfast, my lunch, my dinner. Oh, Doug, you're hilarious. So here's the thing with the, about fat. You know, I had to tell somebody today she was mad. This mom got mad at me. She's like, okay, and then she calmed down later. She's like, you caught me when I was like eating a snack, because I kind of blew her mind. She goes, in 40 years of all the doctors I've been to, no one has ever told me that eating 4 times a day is too much. And I mean, she was really angry. She was shoving like almonds in her mouth. I'm like, I know, it's okay. And in your 40 years, no one's probably told you all the other things I told you about your kids that nobody else has told you that's getting them well either, right? Like, I'm going to tell you all kinds of things no other doctor has told you, hence why you're here, because they clearly aren't doing the job. So I was like, okay, we'll work on this. So a clear path to aging faster, a clear path to cellular breakdown, a clear path to brain cells dying, to wrinkles, to all of it, is eating a lot of meals for a long time throughout the day. That's it. The number one factor every old culture has, the centenarians, the special blue zone people, is they eat less food. And how do they do that? You don't have to actually restrict your calories. If you just eat less frequently, believe it or not, you will end up eating less, but you will never be hungry. When people watch the size of my meals, they're usually like, who in the hell are you? How do you eat like that? You know, and stay thin, you know, whatever. Well, I'm like, 'cause I eat like once or twice typically, and it's really high fat. It's not high carb. I guess I enjoy those things from time. I mean, who doesn't like bread? I get it. It's delicious. Lasagna is my favorite food. I eat it one time a year on my birthday. And even then, it's paleo and keto and other weird things at this point. But I eat it one time a year. I don't need to eat it every day. I'm 45. I've eaten it a lot, right? I'd rather be healthy. I'd rather not get dementia. I'd rather not have Parkinson's. I'd rather not have diabetes. I want my eyes. I want my feet. None of it's worth that. Amputation is not happening. I'm not going out like that. And it's in my family. No, ma'am. Not happening. So, Doug, you're hilarious. Chia seeds, yeah. So anyway, that's what I got in the fasting. And I'm not opposed to, you know, I'm playing around with an intermittent fasting protocol and an extended block a few times a week. And using some supplements at the same time versus going on a big, you know, 5-day one. But that's the difference. You know, can you have a coffee and have autophagy? You're lowering your autophagy. That is true. You are still getting some. Bulletproof coffee, you have to check your blood sugar on the coffee or the bulletproof coffee. You want the highest autophagy, you need to go with water only, and you need to go extended. That's the highest rate. Doesn't mean, though, you're not getting great benefits doing the other thing, okay? So that's it. Stop putting things in your mouth. Yeah, it's funny. And most of it really is just a head game, you guys. Once you get used to, so it's bad not to wake up hungry. Yeah, Yolanda, actually, you can look up, it's a classic sign of a pyrrole disorder, which is oxidative stress and red blood cells, and they have blue light toxicity issues. It's not normal, really, and we've normalized it. I'm not saying you need to wake up starving, but healthy children wake up hungry. I've raised one. I mean, it's like starving every morning. Oh my God, I gotta eat, right? And it's not because of blood sugar issues, and it's like fat and protein. I was gonna remember that, and it's like the older I got. So yeah, the later people are staying up with their blue lights, and the later the fact that they don't have normal light signaling. So to start resetting that, it's really good to go out into the morning sunlight, you know, within the first hour of sunrise. Let your eyes see it, let your skin see it's morning. Because remember, we millions of years, we did not live in houses, and we did not have electricity. The body's used to getting all its signals from the earth. The mitochondria sense the light. Well, it's sensing these fake light bulbs that are killing us in our homes. And they've gotten way worse than the light bulbs we were using, 40 years ago when I was a kid. And then, so you have to yoke like, oh, it's morning. So like your brain knows what time it is. And then if you start eating some protein, you want to yoke the gut. You want to just, for a while, you want to tell the guts, like, it's morning. Oh, because you want the rhythm, the circadian hormonal signal of your brain and the time clock that's inside your brain that's supposed to run faster than anything else, and all the bugs in your intestine to be in synchronous rhythm with each other. So everybody knows what time it is. Yeah, so it's kind of a, is what it is. Anyway, I'm gonna go, I think. I don't think there's any other question. Water. Yeah. Drink your water. Anyway, I'm good with that, guys. So there's your thing. But you need to be checking. Like, and if you're getting sick on your fast, you need to hire somebody to help you. Okay? Because I think a lot of people trying to, like, help each other who don't know what they're doing. And, well, this is what I did for me. I'm like, that doesn't matter. That's your body. If you've seen one, like, autistic child in your office, you've seen one autistic child. If you've seen one brain map for that, you've seen one for that. Everybody's really different, and it's really personalized. But the general consensus would be you're going to get higher autophagy with just water. You can supposedly maybe get it with the fasting mimicking diet or the 500 calories that Walter Longo has come up with. Supposedly research has shown it's pretty much the same, but that's not about coffee. So you can look at the Walter Longo and the fasting mimicking diet if you feel like that. I personally would rather not eat a meal 500 calorie. Actually you can do some decent sizes. I think I'd just rather kind of not do that because I've tried it. I'd just rather not eat. It's just annoying to me to eat like that. So, but that's me. All right, guys. See ya later.